Hey gang, welcome back to Jade's Garage. Today's video I'm working on putting the seat belts in a 68 Mustang known as Jade. Now the belts that come out of it, all beat up, weathered, kind of worn out type of feel to them. This did have the factory shoulder belt, the shoulder harness. A lot of issues with those as far as how they function, why we use them and why we don't. And I'm not going to use the original belts up front. In the back of the car, I put in the original seat belts. That's what I'm going with. I'm happy with those. The kit that I'm putting in right now is from CJ Pony Parts. So there's the part number. These seat belts, they have a combination of pieces here. They have the shoulder mount. You've got the retractor, that's going to be mounted to the floor. And then you also have this extended bar, which goes also to the floor. And you have the receiving end that's going to get mounted to the training tunnel. But the factory hardware is going to give you some grief as far as using this and putting it together. And I don't know why they even went through the effort of making this stuff if they're not going to make it fit your car correctly. So again, more information is available, but just know you're going to have to work on these to get these pieces in the car. So now that I have everything out, I'm going to be using the original hardware, to put these in. I'm going to set aside all of these pieces from the original stuff. I will point out too, this retractor on these cars, it doesn't lock anywhere. They're intended to be stretched out and latched onto. I was commenting about this on my live stream. You can lock these together, the retractable part and your main seatbelt, but you cannot add the shoulder piece. It's either one or the other for some reason. But anyway, more on that later, I guess, or not. Maybe, I don't know. But I'm going to work on getting this in the car and try to show you some basics and how to get this stuff installed. Alright, so here's some information. When you look at these, this is the original, this is the replacement. Similar, but not the same. Not the same. The width is different. I don't know if I haven't tried this. Oh, that actually accepted the original piece. So, but the shape is different. They're just not the same. Okay. This is the retractable part that's going to go into the car from the kit. And it has another piece of metal here. I'm going to show you how that works. Basically, and when this is in the car, this is going to share the bolt hole, and what that does is it moves the strap slightly forward so that you can get in, use it better. Go into more detail about that later. Here's where we're going to run into some problems. If you have the original hardware that came out of the car, this long bolt, from what I remember, goes into the rocker panel. It would have held this, right? And I think, honestly, this would have went like this. It would have went like that with the spacer on the inside. And what that did is allow this to move somewhat. Okay? That spacer blocks the bolt from sinking in all the way. That's great. Set that aside. The shoulder strap, the original one. This had this bolt, which is a smaller diameter. Again, it would have went through. This would have went on the inside. And this bottoms out the shoulder, or the this part of the bolt right here. So when this hits it, what that does is it allows for this to continue to rotate on this pivot point. Okay. The center, the actual strap that you connect to the receiving end, this bolt, shorter than the one that goes in the rocker panel. Same kind of thing. It would have had this collar here. This would have went through, and that tightened up. And I guess this thing was supposed to keep it. It's not quite the same. You can see that the washer here isn't set up the same as these other ones. I will point out, I'm not even 100% sure this belongs on there. I know on the back seat when I put it all together, it did have these, but this may be an extra for all I know. This may just get in there and just bottom out and just pivot on there. So just pay attention to your parts and pieces when you take it out of the car. Why am I telling you all this? Well, a couple reasons. I'm going to set aside this one for the roof for the moment. This is the one, again, goes into the tranny tunnel. If you put it into this is the new receiver, right? Whoop. It doesn't fit. What does that mean? That means you're going to have to take and enlarge this hole. There's no way that's going to go through there. Just know that. That's a problem. The retractor, if I take the big bolt, it doesn't fit. Doesn't go through that hole. What does that mean? You have to make that hole bigger. This piece, which is the extender, guess what? It goes through that hole. Why? Nobody knows. Doesn't make any sense. So, the upper one, the upper mount point for, I have this one covered already. The upper mount point where it goes above your shoulder, this one goes right through, but this one has a plastic piece on it. And so you're not going to be able to, I don't think you can use that collar. You could probably try to put it on there, but it would have to go in between. So if you put this through, put the collar on the inside maybe, and then it would sandwich around that plastic. So just be cautious of that. Otherwise you're just going to compress against the plastic against the headliner. So you probably end up having to put that piece in. Okay, so what am I going to do? What are you going to do? If you look at this one, the measurement on it is 592 roughly. About 592 on the one that goes to the tranny tunnel. So if I take this one, I'm going to show you the difference. It is at 475. 475, over 100 thousandths difference. So your fix is going to be either take a rotary file, a Dremel tool, you know, and enlarge that hole. Put some tape around this to protect it so you don't, you know, get any metal into the fabric of the seatbelt. The other option, you could take one of these and just step it up with that. Again, be careful with this. Protect it. This one here, you can see how far it goes, and there's a little play in this. I don't know what the exact measurement, so I can't read the numbers, but it goes into that to what a third one is showing. And that one's, see. All right, so on the inside, so like 2 steps to make this other work. Anyway, just trying to show you some information. Hopefully this will help you with your project. Now, what I plan to do is I've already went inside the car and felt around and found the mount point for the upper. It's about that far behind the little coat hook thing, and you can feel it. And then I took a razor blade and I cut a hole and was able to feed this in. You know, not a big deal. On the sides, what I did was take a scribe and found the hole again. Punch through with that, take a razor blade, cut a hole in the carpet, and then feed the bolt in. Same thing on the tranny tunnel. You have to find that hole, take a scribe to find the hole, and then cut a hole, you know, with a piece of, cut a hole in the carpet with a razor blade, and then you can, you know, put the bolt in there. So, just some information for you. As I mentioned, use some tape. Now we're trying to get up on the size so this can go through. Take your time. Then what you can do is take if you wanted to, take a file, knock off any of the burr that's on that side. You know, not that critical, but Just showing you what you can do. Trying to make sure everything's off of it before it goes anywhere. Now, on this one, use a little more caution whenever you're doing this. And I'm going to reset the camera to show you, but you know, tape these off. So I'm going to take a piece of tape and put on the edge here. And what I want to use is a pair of vice grips. I'm going to clamp this to the edge of the table. Keep it from moving. And then slowly, you know, drill it larger. That'll work. Alright, so what I did, you know, I wire wheeled these old bolts just to clean them up. I believe these pieces that go up to the roof were actually chrome or nickel or something, but it wasn't in very good shape. So I just painted them with trim black. That seems to work fine. The bolt heads are all 13/16, so not a big concern with all that. I'm ready to put these in, get them out of the way. Okay, I'm going to start with the top mount. So I'm going to be putting that little spacer behind and run the bolt through. I'm not going to snug that down just yet because I want to make sure the configuration is right for the rest of it. So let me get the lower bolt in. Now again, this one would have had that say fat washer that fits on or fits through, right? But I'm going to put that on the inside. It's going to act kind of like a spacer. And this plate, well, it can only go behind the retractor. So if I run this through, make sure I do this right. Run this through first, run that through the plate, and then add the spacer. I should be able to. It could be a little of a challenge with this cover on here. So I'm going to take this cover off. It just has a couple of little catches on it. Pretty simple. Take that off. See if I can get the bolt to start. Appears to be correct. Now this is still going to bind, so I'm going to put this kind of like in an upright position. No, maybe not. I need to angle that back. Because if I put it upright, it's going to want to bind as it's coming out of the track. So, good observation. That puts it on the same plane. Okay, now I see something that has to change. Got to change something. I didn't think about it. Get these angles right. Have this come forward. That way it's more across your hip. At least I assume that's the intent of having it like this. Okay. That's how it's going to stay. I'll tighten up the upper bolt. It does still pivot on that. Take this little cover. I'm going to snap it back in place. Catch the little ears down inside. Okay. The other thing is to get this cover on here. Perfect. I like it. Now I'm going to put in the other the receiving end, let's say, of the lap belt. So you want to make sure it's facing, the latch coming back towards you. Now if I need to later on, I'll adjust that angle, but I think that'll be fine. Hey, welcome back to the garage. But I'm going to work on that today, and I hope you're here to, I guess I'm in, let's say, out of luck. These appear to be just the front seat belts. So, this video is not going to be any good. Blah, 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 blah. Hey gang, it is a beautiful, almost fall day in Georgia, and I'm taking advantage of that. I have the window, or the